I always thought our country made sense. You know, I always looked at...
No, you did not. I've known you for a long time. You did not always think that. For many, many years, in fact, pretty much as long as I have known you, you have realized this country does not make sense, just increasing over time.
Yeah, I guess. I mean, I thought that... I never thought of us as, and you are too young to relate to this, but Pat and I, and Jeffy, of course, because Jeffy, you remember before the revolution in 1919, right?
I do.
So we remember growing up and thinking, how do the Russian people stand this? How do they not know that their government is just lying to them all the time? Well, now we're starting to see it. I mean, we never understood how, Pravda, the press, would just get out and say, what? Our fearless leader is totally fine. You're like, he's got blood shooting out of his eyes right now. And they would just deny the reality. So I never thought that, you're right, Stu. I never thought we made total sense. Mm-hmm. But I really didn't think that we were the kind of people that just would deny the obvious reality. Here's a good example of our sausage now has toilet paper in it. Where we are just denying the reality. We're a nation in trouble. We're a nation that is really financially on the brink. We're a nation that needs to stop spending. We're a nation that needs to get a clue. We're a nation that needs to say, you know what? People in both sides of the aisle and both parties, they both suck. Now let's get down and roll up our sleeves and find some places to where we can save some money, because we can save significant amounts of money if we just stop the craziness. More than a dozen lucky rabbits were given Swedish massages 4 times a day, courtesy of the U.S. taxpayer, as part of a study to figure out whether massage can help recovery times after strenuous exercise. The rabbit massages are just one of the 100 wasteful products Senator Tom Coburn says makes a mockery of federal spending. They have been identified in the latest edition of Waste Book, an annual compendium of ridiculous and outrageous items in government spending. The highlights included the National Science Foundation paying academics to teach monkeys to gamble. Let me just read this again. Other highlights, meaning something beside the dozen lucky rabbits that were given Swedish massages 4 times a day, included the National Science Foundation paying academics to teach monkeys to gamble. A government-sponsored sponsorship of a children's play about brain-eating zombies, and a first combat shooting video game the Army developed, but which intelligence officials fear terrorists could use to train their own recruits. Indeed, Hezbollah now has adapted the game's design to train suicide martyrs. But back to the Swedish massages for the rabbits. In the case of the rabbits, they weren't put on treadmills, but were forced to exercise in order to create stress. Some of the rabbits were given immediate massages. Some were given delayed massages. And some of the unlucky rabbits weren't given massages at all.
Yeah, they had to have a control group. Had to have one.
What kind of country do we live in, Pat? Mm-hmm. You're not going to give massages at all to these bunnies?
Well, you had to have a control group.
Yeah, but it's not worth it. It's not worth it to not get massaged after exercise.
Right.
Could I just point out? Mm-hmm. Let me read that. This is a news story. Let me just read this again and imagine that you are snuggled up next to me. You're maybe 6, and you're snuggled up next to me, and I've got a big book, and I say, some of the rabbits were given immediate massages. Some were given delayed massages. And the unlucky rabbits, some weren't given any massages at all. Mm. This is not a news story. This is a fairy tale. Scientists then tried to figure out if the massages helped the bunny rabbits.
Oh, my gosh. Did they?
Did they? Hang on. There's more.
Yeah.
You paid, as a taxpayer, $387,000 for the 2-year study. Okay, could we please find the audio of Nancy Pelosi saying the cupboard is bare? There is no other place to cut.
That should be something we just play like 20 times a day. Because you could play that after every one of these stories.
Because the cupboard is there. There's no more cuts to make. It's really important that people understand that. Because the cupboard is there.
Okay. Some of the rabbits were given immediate massages. Some were given delayed massages. And the unlucky ones weren't given any massages at all. And then Grandma Pelosi said,
because the cupboard is there.
Because the cupboard is bare.
Did any of the bunnies go wee, wee, wee all the way home?
I'm not really sure. Mm-hmm. So, the 2-year study, it concluded that other studies were right. And the massage seemed to help in recovery.
So, they've done other studies.
Apparently
they didn't want to buy into those willy-nilly.
Yeah, and I who would think that after a strenuous workout where you are tearing your muscles, that massages might help? May I ask, besides athletes in the NFL, who really needs this? I mean, after I work out, if I'm in the NFL, I need to know, will this help me recover faster? If I'm a normal person, I don't have the money to have a Swedish massage 4 times a day. If I'm a regular guy who is out working all the time, what do I need this for? I don't have the time nor the money to have the bunny rabbit massages 4 times a day. What are we spending this money for?
How does it even happen, Glenn? Do you have any idea? Like, I assume Alan Grayson doesn't wake up in the morning and say, you know what, we need to fund a study on bunny massages 4 times a day. I mean, it's certainly possible with Alan Grayson.
No, here's you have to go back to the speech that Eisenhower gave when he talked about the military-industrial complex, and you need to see what he cut out of the speech, what he did say in the speech, but also what he cut out of that speech. He talked about the media. He said there's a real problem coming because of the military-industrial complex. What will happen is the media and education and the military will all get into bed with the federal government and with each other, and they will collude, and it will run amok and go out of control. And here's why. And this explains the bunny rabbits. If you see in this study, the video game that was produced for the military-industrial complex. All of these studies, the government will say, well, we need this study because we need to find out because of universal health care, or we need to find out because of the military, or whatever it is the government says they have to take on their own shoulders. And so the universities then hire these academics, build these labs, build all these studies, and what they do is, we need more money. We need another government grant. And so they are paid, somebody is paid to come up with studies that they can do to get that federal money, because that money's going somewhere. Somebody's going to get it. It might as well be us. We got to get it. So what can we study that will help the government do the things that they want to do? And so the universities and all of our scientists, they are all geared to just go after that big pile of money. So what is it the government is working on? What is it the government cares about? What is it the government wants to know? Nobody's going to fund this bunny study except for the United States of America. Nobody's going to fund that. Why? Because it's worthless. Now, let me give you
wrap it up.
When we come back, the rest of the story. Remember, kids, when we last put the book down, the federal government was spending $387,000 on a study of rabbits. More than a dozen lucky rabbits were given Swedish massages 4 times a day as a part of a study to figure out whether massage can help recovery times after strenuous exercise. Well, after our $387,000 were spent and 4 times a day these bunnies received massages, the study concluded that other studies were right. And massage seems to help recovery.
Yay!
So, whoa!
Yeah.
Wow!
So it was a successful study.
Well,
and everything's fine.
Well, no. It just showed that other studies that had been done,
right?
This study just confirmed the other studies that had been done. However, it's still not clear that rabbit physiology can be extrapolated to humans.
They didn't know that going in, though. Certainly not.
No, I mean, like, should we exercise humans or bunnies? What's the difference, Bob? Is there a difference between bunnies and people? I don't think so.
And then after the study, they realized
Look at the
one
bunny's
is for...
ears. Look at the president's ears. Look at Ross Perot's ears. They're all the same.
Yeah. So they just assumed...
Elves. Elves have funny ears pointed. Bunnies have funny ears. Could we get any elves to do it? No elves? All right. You just use the bunnies. Bunnies are people, too.
Yeah.
I was talking to my daughter, Snow, the chicken, and she was saying, hey, what about your other son?
The bunny.
Bugs. The bunny. So... we're all one big, happy, bunny, chicken, human family. And we're all the same, you know. Jeez, for the love of God. So here's the best part.
Yeah.
After the study,
Yeah.
the rabbits were euthanized at the end of the study.
Wait. They were
What?
They were all killed?
Yeah, the bunnies were killed.
Why? Why did the government kill the bunnies?
Well, I hope, and I mean this sincerely, I hope they killed the bunnies because they've just made the most tender Hassenpfeffer ever created. Well, they've just made the best bunny steak. So tender.
I'll bet you they didn't.
So juicy.
I'll bet they didn't eat them.
No, of course not.
Did not eat them.
No.
They couldn't give them away to a nice little...
a nice family?
a
series of
You couldn't
families?
set them free?
Farm. Put
Free!
them in the woods?
You're a free bunny. Go run, go hop, go play.
Well, they'd have a hard time now because they've been domesticated and given rub downs 4 times a day. They'd have a hard time making it in the wild.
With the environmentalist on this one. Let's
Oh, my
free
gosh.
the bunny rabbits.
At least give them a
Where
chance
are
to
the
cross the...
environmentalists on this? Why aren't they yelling at the top of their lungs?
Where's PETA? Wouldn't PETA be pissed off about this?
I would think.
They can't
They
acclimate
probably
to the
are.
wild. They cannot acclimate to the wild after having massages like that 4 times a day.
Oh my gosh.
Well, can't they...
Gotta
Imagine
kill 'em.
You're a bunny rabbit. First of all, you've been getting massages 4 times a day. You're looking down on all the other bunny rabbits that don't get those massages. You're like, hey, I'm a fat cat bunny rabbit.
Right.
You know? Hey, time for my massage.
Get your own study.
And if you're doing that in the wild, you're
doing
not
that in
going to
the
last
wild.
long. However,
All the
you
other
last
bunny rabbits
even
are all-
less long when you've been euthanized by the government.
Yes.
So,
couldn't we have just weaned them off? Maybe 2 massages a day for a year, then another year with 1 massage a day,
And then no massage.
and then no massages, and then give them a chance to cross the highway? Maybe they make it into the forest? I don't know. Seems like that's a good way to go.
It's unbelievable.
They just killed all the buddies after
They killed them. They killed them.
The
And you
most
know what's-
relaxed buddies on the universe. We just murdered them.
Maybe that's why we were giving them massages. They were just like, kind of rubbing them down and kind of, so you come here often? Yeah, Doc. Yeah, come here 4 times a day. Hey, we're going to inject you with some really painful drugs soon. How's that feel? Oh, yeah. Does that feel good? Oh, yeah, Doc. Right there. Yeah. Oh, that feels good. I think that's what happened. So they were just so massaged, so relaxed. They didn't hear the part where we said we're going to put some painful drugs in you soon and kill you.
So you're saying this is just a sadistic excuse to murder bunny rabbits?
I just think that's what it is. The government is scooping up bunny rabbits and putting them in camps, then giving them massages so they don't know they're about to be killed.